Hey, this is Theo and welcome to my first Pokemon Challenge video and my first Fire Red Nuzlocke. If you clicked on this video, you probably know what a Nuzlocke is, but just in case you don't, here's a breakdown of the rules that I used. I can only catch the first wild Pokemon encountered in each area. No dupes. I must nickname every Pokemon to form a closer bond, because when a Pokemon faints, it is considered dead and must be put into the grave. Battle mode must be turned to set, and Pokemon levels can't exceed the next gym leader's highest Pokemon level. Also, to make this extra challenging, no items can be used during battles except for held item. This whole thing just started as some personal fun and to share my journey with my friends on Discord. At the end, I was like, hey, why not slap everything together and share it with YouTube? Many hours later, and here we are. Since it was just made with fun in mind, full disclaimer, I gifted myself things like rare candies and anything else to reduce the grind. If you enjoyed this video, please give a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Ready? Let's get into it. After Oak welcomes me to the world of Pokemon, I choose to play Leaf, I love her design, and name myself Azray. I grab the potion from the PC and then head out into tall grass to get the professor shouting at me and he gives me a Pokemon. To choose my starter, I rolled a red, blue, and green D20 and I cannot believe how close they all were. Like, are you kidding? What are the odds of them being pretty much consecutive? Charmander won out, of course the typically harder starter in Kanto. Great for a Nuzlocke, I'm sure. I'd nickname her Vesta and head straight into my first fight with my rival Blue. He sends out Squirtle and I keep spamming Scratch, just hoping and praying I don't die first thing. Although I don't consider a Nuzlocke in effect until I get Pokeballs. Heading north into Viridian City, I pick up Oak's parcel from the mart, and once it's delivered, Blue and I get our Pokedexes and some Pokeballs. On Route 1, our very first encounter is a Pidgey I named Kalis. Remember I said I gifted myself things? This included the good rod I used just outside Viridian City to fish up a Goldeen I named Neptune. Heading west from Viridian City, I head to the grass on Route 22 and my offerings to Arceus paid off. I caught a Mankey and named him Mars, hoping he'll live up to his name as the god of war. Not that one. With 4 babies in the team and some leveling done, it is time to fight Blue again. He opens with his Pidgey and I answer with Kalis, who gusts his heart out, taking several tackles in return. When Blue Squirtle comes out, I switch to Mars, and after a lackluster low kick, Mars goes bananas and scratches Blue Squirtle all the way up. So far, so godly. Another Blue defeat in the bag, and I head to Route 2 to grab my next encounter. A Rattata I nickname Morbus before heading into Viridian Forest. Expecting a Caterpie or Weedle, I feel #blessed to find a Pikachu. I name her Fulgora and it's on to Pewter City and our first gym battle. With Charmander as my starter, it's important to diversify the team as much as possible early on. Brock and Misty are no joke and could end the run without careful planning. Or a God of War. Mars karate chops Geodude and properly low kicks Onix into rubble. For his efforts, Mars hits level 15 and I get my first gym badge. The Boulder badge is mine. Onto Route 3 east of Pewter City and I catch a Spearow I nicknamed Mercury. Not a Jigglypuff or anything cool, sadly. To the box you go. In the Pokemon Center outside of Mount Moon, this lovely man sells me a Magikarp for only 500 Pokebucks. How could I refuse? I name it Houstus, apparently Latin for the act of swallowing, and before going into Mount Moon, Vesta evolves into Charmeleon, a beautiful baby growing up. Making my way through the mountain, there's unsurprisingly a bloody Zubat. She gets named Nox, and I bump into the weird fossil guy. I went with the Dome fossil and totally forgot what level Rattata evolved, so I guess Morbus is Eradicate now. Kalis didn't slip my mind, however, and more intentionally evolves into a Pidgeotto. Eventually surviving the journey through Mount Moon, I find myself in Cerulean City. Feeling confident, I have a Pikachu. Misty is gonna get zapped. She sends out her Staryu, and I send out Fulgora the Pikachu and let the Thundershock strike. Annoyingly, this doesn't wipe Staryu out, and after paralyzing it, I go to finish it off with a quick attack, fully not expecting Misty to use a super potion. Rinse and repeat, Thundershocks it is then. Misty sends out her ace Starmie, and Fulgora goes for a Thunder Wave. Starmie is too quick, and Water Pulse hits Fulgora like a damp truck, but it does get the paralysis. But Fulgora can't take another Water Pulse, so I switch her out with Morbus the Raticate. He eats a Water Pulse, but it's still doing more damage than I'd like. Morbus hits Starmie with a Hyper Fang, but then gets hit into the red and my throat tightens. Neptune tags into the fight and the Water Pulse glances off him. Horn Attack takes Starmie into the red, but it uses damn Recover to get its HP back. Stupidly I go for Confusion next, totes forgetting that Starmie is half Psychic type. This slip gives Starmie a chance to smack Neptune with a critical hit Water Pulse out of nowhere, and this does not feel good. It's time for the God of War. Mars enters the fray and Starmie is struck with paralysis, giving Mars a chance to Mega Kick it, but it's not quite enough. Starmie recovers again and again until it's back to full health. Are you kidding me? The no items in battle rule I gave myself is already stinging. Mars throws out a Mega Kick, taking Starmie down to half and eats a Water Pulse before another Mega Kick seals the deal and we get the Cascade badge. No rest for the wicked though, it's time for our third fight against Blue on the way towards Nugget Bridge. Blue sends out Pidgeotto, which Fulgura makes quick work on with Thundershock after taking a Sand attack and a Quick attack in succession. She hits level 22 and I switch to Mars to take Blue's Rattata. Mars tanks a Quick attack and counters with a well-placed Karate Chop. Rattata goes down and out comes Blue's Abra. Not for long though, as he falls victim to Mars's foot in his face from a Mega Kick. Mars stays out versus Squirtle and a Karate Chop takes it down to half. Squirtle tries a measly water gun, but that just pisses Mars off, who keeps on chopping. After facing Blue, the trainers on Nugget Bridge don't hold much of a challenge. I then proceed to catch a Caterpie and a Weedle, which I named Tithonus and Mephitis respectively, before making my way to Bill's house. To the south of Cerulean on Route 5, I pick up an Oddish and name him Odium, and then on Route 6, add a Meowth I nickname Libertus, before heading to Vermilion City. In Vermilion, I fish up a Horsey I name Hippocampus. Sadly, I didn't have enough space to spell it properly. I swap out Neptune for Hippocampus, supplanted by his own mount. Can you believe? And the team is looking pretty good. Now I really want a Diglett. So I head to Diglett's cave and I grab one, which I nicknamed Dafodio, and swap out Hippocampus. Just outside on Route 11, I pick up an Ekans and name her Angitia before skipping down to the SSN. We survive the Gagalo trainers before running into Blue again. Just like before, he brings out Pidgeotto first, and this time Fulgura is packing heat and thunderbolts it into oblivion. Next out is Blue's evolved Rattata, to which Fulgura's answer is a Thunderbolt. Raticate whips its tail back and forth, but a Quick attack finishes it off. Third up is Blue's Kadabra, which I was a little worried about. But you know what happens to a Kadabra when it gets struck by lightning? To my surprise, Thunderbolt doesn't one-hit KO Wartortle, so I have to keep up the old Bolt and Quick attack maneuver. Except Wartortle doesn't go down and smacks Fulgura for a crit water gun. What? Fulgura ain't no bench though, and she still got the kill. She ate. Getting ready for Lieutenant Surge's electric Pokemon, I evolve Odium into Gloom, switch out Kalis, and somehow manage to find the door switches first try. That never happens. I'm not worried about Lieutenant Surge though, because I have Dafodio, my electric killer. Surge sends out his Voltorb and Dafodio fires off a magnitude 8 off the bat. Out comes Surge's Pikachu, and that Quake keeps rolling with magnitude 9. Here comes Surge's Ace Raichu, and the rumble quiets down to an 8 on the scale again. Cake. Absolute cake. Dafodio was going to be a great addition to the team. This dog trio had Arena Trap. What? I wish I'd recorded it, but I was so shocked. Our first death. After such a sweeping high versus Surge, Dafodio falls to his own kind. Rest in peace, little guy. You did good. With Hippocampus back on the team, I head to Route 10 where I encounter a Voltorb and name it Sphera. Miles evolves into Primeape shortly after, and with the help of a magical Thunderstone, Fulgura evolves into Raichu in all her chubby glory. Result. Venturing into Rock Tunnel, I find a Geodude I nickname Lapis, and over on Route 7 I nab Vulcan the Growlithe. Extra firepower for Erica couldn't hurt, but with Vesta on the team I should be okay. Once in Celadon City, I grab Nox from the box and evolve her into Golbat, just for extra Erica support, but I actually never end up adding her to the team. Time for the Celadon Gym, and after ruining Erica's vibe, we kick off the battle with Vesta versus her Victory Bell. Flamethrower makes super quick work of Victory Bell and Erica's Tangela. I was expecting Vileplume to be Deja Vu, but it just manages to hang on and get off a Stun Spore. Crap. Erica heals Vileplume to max, and Vesta is too paralyzed to fire off another Flamethrower. Vileplume decides to fire Acid at Vesta until Flamethrower finally roasts the bugger. Something that should have happened like 3 turns ago, but still, the Rainbow Badge is mine. Following Erica's fight, we bust into the Rocket hideout beneath the game corner and battle our way to the big boss Giovanni. He doesn't take my intrusion lightly and sends out his Onix first. Odium makes his trainer battle debut with a big gulp Giga Drain, which takes out Onix and also works wonders on Giovanni's Rhyhorn. Not so much on Kangaskhan though, so Mars takes over with a Karate Chop to the vitals, taking Kangaskhan into the red. Mars shrugs off a bite and finishes the fight with another swift chop to the face. Mars continues to live up to his name. Kalis returns to the team, taking Odium's spot as I head to Lavender Town and Pokemon Tower. On the next floor, it's time for our next rival fight. Pidgeotto's up first, as per usual. I send out Fulgura, now beefier than ever. She eats a quick attack and paralyzes Pidgeotto on contact before bolting it out. Blue sends out his new Pokemon Growlithe, so I switch to Hippocampus, who takes an Ember as a tickle and responds with a deadly Bubble Beam. In comes Execute, and Vesta takes the stage to heat... Oh, she's asleep. Great. Why did I decide to not use items in battles again? While she gets leech seeded, I try to force her to wake up and keep trying to attack. Execute throws up Reflect to raise Blue's defenses and hits Vesta with Confusion. Wake up! With that clearly not working, I switch in Kalos. He eats a Confusion like a champ and avoids a Hypnosis before taking out Execute with a couple of wing attacks. Finally. Out comes Kadabra, and even without having a status ailment, Kalos' Facade makes short work of it. Blue sends out Wartortle and Kalos hits it with another Facade, taking it below half before letting a Water Gun slide off his feathers. Kalos snatches us the win with a final wing attack. Walking around the spooky Pokemon Tower, I pick up a Ghastly I name Lorua and head on up to face the vengeful Marowak spirit. Sadly, I forgot the fight auto starts and I stupidly had Vesta first. Opting to start with a dig, it didn't do much damage, so I switched to Hippocampus the horsey, who took a Leer on entry. Not too bad, he has the type advantage. I fire for Bubble Beam, which takes Marowak down to the yellow. Not enough for the kill. Wait, no. No, Hippocampus! Wait, no, Hippocampus! I was so shocked, I had to end the fight. I had to gather myself. No. I wasn't recording at the start of the second fight because I thought Mars would sweep it easily. You can see Marowak's HP is in the red here, but no, 2 Bonerangs ended him. 2 Pokemon lost. To the Marowak? I sent in Morbus to finish it off with a quick attack and tried not to break down emotionally. This can't happen again. I evolve Lorua into Haunter and then Gengar. I evolve Kalos into Pidgeot and I pick up Neptune and evolve him to Seeking. Then it was time for Vesta to evolve into Charizard. The Dice Gods decided I should have Charmander. We deserved this moment. Look at her. Beautiful. I take my new Poké Flute down to Route 12 and wake up Snorlax, who I catch and name Somnus. Now we're ready. Vesta the Charizard, Fulgora the Raichu, Kalos the Pidgeot, Neptune the Seeking, Lorua the Gengar, and Somnus the Snorlax. For Defodio, for Hippocampus, for Mars. At the Celadon game corner, I decided I wanted to get Dratini, and after a few goes at the slots, I decided that was way too boring and just bought coins with Pokédollars instead. Welcome, Juno. I always wanted to use a shiny Dratini, which is making me laugh now because I literally never used her in battle this entire game, even after evolving her into Dragonair. Oopsies. Looks awesome though. I get Lapis to become a Golem, switch out Kalos, and make my way to Silphco in Saffron City to stop Team Rocket. Another blue battle awaits us. Blue starts off with his now fully evolved Pidgeot, and I open with Lapis the Golem. Pidgeot gives a pathetic attempt at a wing attack before perishing to Lapis's Rock Slide. Sorry, bird. Interestingly, Blue immediately brings out his ace Blastoise, so I pull Lapis back for Fulgora, because Lapis is tough, but not that tough. Fulgora takes a Water Gun and Bite, but is able to take Blastoise into the red with a Thunderbolt. Blue's Blastoise simply prolongs the inevitable with a random Protect, Zap. Blue brings out Growlithe, so I bring in Neptune the Seeking, who gets hit with a takedown for not very much. Neptune calls on the power of the oceans for a waterfall, which doesn't quite get the kill, but Growlithe writes its own death sentence with a takedown and faints to the recoil. Dumb dog. Next out with Execute, so I bring out Vesta, who takes a Stun Spore immediately and can't move while taking Confusion after Confusion until finally she fries those eggs with Flamethrower. Lastly is Blue's Alakazam, so I switch out our newly evolved Lorua the Gengar. Alakazam uses its Future Sight, which honestly scares the hell out of me, but we've got to keep going. Lorua sends out a Shadow Ball, which gets us the win. No worries about that Future Sight after all. Wonderful. With Blue defeated, this Silphco employee was so happy I was fighting Team Rocket he gifted me a Lapras. I named him Amphitrite and off to the VC with him. Then it was time for a Giovanni rematch. This time, Giovanni sends out a Nidorino first, and I bring out Lapis. Lapis takes a sliver of damage from Poison Sting, luckily not getting poisoned before taking Nidorino out with an Earthquake. Despite a very scary Tail Whip, Giovanni's Nidoqueen meets the same fate. Giovanni continues with Kangaskhan, who gets off a flinch with Fake Out, and then hits Lapis with Rage. But Lapis keeps the earth rolling until Kangaskhan falls. Lastly, Giovanni sends out Rhyhorn, so I switch to Neptune. Rhyhorn hits him with a couple of Rock Blasts, but the crashing waterfall ends the battle swiftly. After dispersing Team Rocket at Silphco, I headed for the fighting dojo and fought the Karate Master. His Hitmonlee takes Fulgura's Thunderbolt and wastes time focusing its energy before defeat. Next up is Hitmonchan, and I give Fulgura's new very acceptable and allowed Surf a try, which doesn't do much, but she takes a Fire Punch on the chin without problem and finishes the fight with an Old Faithful Thunderbolt. The Karate Master lets us choose a Hitmonchan or Hitmonlee for defeating him. I opted for Hitmonchan thanks to another die roll. Welcome, Remus. Now in Saffron City Gym, it's time to face off against Sabrina for our 5th badge. Sabrina starts the battle with Kadabra and I go for Lapis. Kadabra begins with Future Sight and Lapis shakes the earth again with another earthquake. Kadabra's down and out comes Mr. Mime, who right away throws up a barrier, raising Sabrina's team's defense. Lapis continued with Earthquake, but Mr. Mime clings on by the skin of its teeth. Oh wait, does it have teeth? The barrier is really making this a pain. Lapis gets the pleasure of the Future Sight, which thankfully doesn't do much damage. Mr. Mime switches out with Baton Pass, bringing out Venomoth, who amusingly isn't immune to Earthquake. It smacks Lapis with a Psybeam, and she responds with a lethal Fire Punch! Mr. Mime returns and smacks Lapis with a Psybeam, taking her into the yellow. But this time, Lapis's Earthquake is enough to finish it off, leaving us facing off against Sabrina's Alakazam. I switch to Somnus the Snorlax, who tanks a Psychic like it's nothing and recovers a little health with his leftovers. Alakazam uses Calm Mind, and I know I do not want to let it get another Psychic off. Luckily, its awful defense lets Somnus kill it with an Earthquake before any harm can be done. Thanks for the Marsh badge. After Sabrina, I head on over to Fuchsia City and beeline for this little pond where I find a Poliwag and name it Rana. Time for our 6th badge as I initiate combat with Koga. He begins with coughing and I send out Somnus, who deflates it with a swift body slam. Next up is Muck, and Somnus tries to hit it with an Earthquake, but it is constantly using Minimize. Which I find hilarious, like, shouldn't Earthquakes, always hit? This gets super annoying super fast, so I send out Kalis, who is able to hit Muck with a return, but it survives and minimizes again, only for Kalis to finish it off with a wing attack. I thought Keen Eye ignored evasion, but apparently that's not until Gen 4. Guess luck was just on my side. Koga sends out another coughing, which Kalis decimates with a return. I try to do the same with Wheezing up next, but it tanks it and hits Kalis with a Toxic. Poison in a no-item Nuzlocke feels like a real bad thing. Kalis hits Wheezing with a wing attack, but it takes a sludge and damage from its poison. This is too close to comfort for me, so I switch into Lapis. Koga right away heals up Wheezing, and it hits Lapis with a smoke screen, but she responds with a decent Rock Slide. Her body slam takes Wheezing into the red, prompting Koga to toss another potion at it. Oh, great. It has Levitate! So the super effective Earthquake will do jack. Wheezing sludges and poisons Lapis, so I go for a Fire Punch! But this Wheezing seems too beefy, and I don't want to risk Lapis, so I bring in Vesta, who gets sludged on entry but clinches the win with Flamethrower. Why didn't I do that before? Oh well, we won! After the Future Gym, I go on a catching spree and catch Pluto the Nidoran in the Safari Zone and Blatter the Venonat on Route 15. Then over on Route 14, the only non-dupe I can catch is Ditto. I find the Ditto, but it breaks out of the ball and transforms into Vesta. I wish I'd thought to record this because it was wild. It almost killed Vesta, Kalis, and Larua before it was caught. I named it Mendacious and sent it to hell. Then caught a Krabby on Route 13 and named her Danae. Continuing the catching spree, I took a detour to the power plant and found a Magnemite I named Jupiter, then made my way back to Pallet Town to hop onto my surfing Raichu down Route 21 towards Cinnabar. On Cinnabar Island, I hopped into the Pokemon lab and resurrected my Dome Fossil into Kabuto. I nicknamed her Saturn and wanted to get ready for Blaine immediately, so I evolved her. I also grabbed Rana from the box and evolved her into a Poliwhirl and then Poliwrath, along with taking Danae the Krabby to a Kingler. This many water types should be more than enough. But before Blaine, I've got to unlock his gym by grabbing a key in the Pokemon Mansion, where I encountered a coughing and nicknamed it Pestifer. Key acquired, it was time for Blaine. 3 water types, 2 rock types, 1 ground type, I was more than prepped. Blaine kindled the fight with his Growlithe, so I sent in Rana the Poliwrath. I forgot about Intimidate. I wanted to take a Sector Bulk up and was not anticipating a Fire Blast right away, but Rana took it heartily. Plus, leftovers helped. I gave Poliwrath Muddy Water because it felt very frog appropriate. Growlithe went down, followed by Blaine's Ponyta, who didn't last long against the Muddy Waters either. Next up was Rapidash, who stomped Rana on the noggin, but she didn't care. I wanted to give Danae the Kingler some fight time, so switched her in, and I just noticed while editing all this that it's an all-female team. What are the odds of that? Anyway, As soon as Danae came out, Rapidash sprang up for a bounce, so I quickly reacted with Substitute and followed up with Curse for a stat boost. Rapidash's Fire Blast missed first time, but the Substitute was able to eat the second one as Danae set up Crab Hammer and reduced Rapidash to a cinder. Blaine's last Pokemon was his Arcanine, and Danae's Hypercutter rendered its Intimidate useless. Yes. Get him, Crab Girl! Let's go! Danae ready to Crab Hammer, and I fully thought the win was in the bag, but no. A critical hit Fire Blast? On a water type? That was it. Danae lost. It took me a second to regain my composure, and I sent in Saturn to clean house and avenge my crab baby. Setting up with Swords Dance, Arcanine went in for an average bite, but Saturn was not messing around. The water came crashing down for half damage, and Saturn's King Rock procced, allowing Waterfall to make Arcanine flinch. It and Blaine were done. There was no coming back from that. I leave Blaine's mourning the loss of my giant crab when Bill appears and he's like, "Hey babe, wanna come over and spend some time with me on my island?" I was like, sure, I guess. So on one island I catch a Ponyta named Pegasus and headed over to 2 Island, where I pick up a Psyduck I name Annis at Cape Brink, and then on the hunt for Lostel on 3 Island I catch a Drowsy in Berry Forest and name it Sybil. After that, I return to Vermilion and fly on Vesta back to Viridian City to face Giovanni for my 8th and final gym badge. Almost at the Pokemon League and only 4 Pokemon down so far. Not too bad. Giovanni opens with his Rhyhorn and I send out Rana, who muddy waters it into oblivion. Giovanni's Dugtrio comes out and manages to get off a pathetic slash before meeting the same fate to the brown muddy waters. As does Nidoqueen. Rana's leftovers put her health back to full as Giovanni's Nidoking comes out and she drowns him too. Lastly, Giovanni sends out another Rhyhorn and Muddy Water misses. I'm so flabbergasted I barely noticed it using a scary face. Muddy Water misses again and Rhyhorn uses Scary Face. Again. Jeez, okay. Ice Punch then. Oh, there we go. Rhyhorn goes down and we swim away in muddy waters with our Earth badge. Good job, Rana. Well, with Giovanni defeated and all 8 badges won, it's time for Victory Road in the Pokemon League at Indigo Plateau. We got this Vesta, Lapis, Somnus, Rana, Lirua, and Fulgora. First up is Lorelei, and unsurprisingly I send in Fulgora against her Dugong. Thunderbolt doesn't quite finish it off right away, and Lorelei uses a full restore, so Fulgora keeps going and manages to fire off 2 Thunderbolts in a row. Lorelei sends in Cloyster next, and that goes down in 1 zap, as well as Slowbro right after. Lorelei's Lapras doesn't quite go down in 1 hit and gets Fulgora confused with a Confuse Ray, but she's able to push through it and get another Thunderbolt on it. 1 Pokemon left, Jinx. Since Jinx isn't a water type, I switch to Lirua and she immediately gets put to sleep with a lovely kiss. Are you kidding? I try to force her to wake up, but she stays sleeping and eats an Ice Punch. This is bad. Wake up! Jinx's second Ice Punch takes Lirua down to 2 hit points and I am not about that, so I switch her out for Somnus. He tanks an Ice Punch and also gets put to sleep with a lovely kiss. I don't remember this move being this annoying. I can't use items! I can't wake them up! So I keep trying to force Somnus to wake up, and I find it so ridiculous and funny that the Snorlax is sleeping. Jinx's Ice Punches aren't doing too much damage, but way more than I want, taking Somnus down into the yellow. He finally wakes up and hits Jinx with a 1-hit KO Body Slam. God damn. Well, 1 down, 4 more fights to go. Bruno next, and Onyx is first out. I send out Runner and immediately get them gains with Bulk Up. Onyx misses a Rock Tomb and Rana uses her Muddy Water shtick to keep Onyx away, and the second Onyx. Bruno then sends out Hitmonchan. After a decently damaging Ice Punch against it, I'm suddenly concerned that it might know Thunder Punch. It instead hits Rana with a Sky Uppercut, which doesn't do too much damage, but she misses her Muddy Water. I try to go for an Ice Punch, but Hitmonchan outspeeds her with another Sky Uppercut, this time a crit. Rana's not looking good, and her Ice Punch doesn't kill it. I switch into Somnus and Bruno heals Hitmonchan up. I try for Curse and Hitmonchan fires off another Sky Uppercut. I totally forgot that Snorlax is a normal type and is weak against fighting attacks. With Somnus' HP in the red, he cannot take another attack, so I sent in Fulgora instead. She gets smacked with the Sky Uppercut, taking her into the yellow. Yikes, this is doing so much damage. I go for a Thunderbolt instead of switching for some silly reason, and it does decent damage, but not enough to take Hitmonchan out, or prevent another Sky Uppercut. Fulgora gets her world rocked and is left cold on the ground. I was so stupid. I need a big hitter and I send up Vesta, who manages to get off her flamethrower straight away, which thankfully takes Hitmonchan out. Revenge! Bruno brings in Machamp and Vesta flies up into the air while Machamp does a pointless scary face. Fly only takes Machamp down by half, which it then heals with a berry after it bogs up. Vesta blasts off a flamethrower which takes Machamp into the red, it then misses Vesta with a Rock Tomb. Vesta uses Fly again and of course Bruno whips out a damn full restore. I should have switched out as soon as I noticed Rock Tomb, because as soon as Vesta lands, Fly doesn't do nearly enough and this Rock Tomb doesn't miss. Super effective, one hit, Vesta the Charizard, my starter, gone. Just before the end, I quickly send out Lorua in Vesta's place and go for a Shadow Ball, which doesn't do much against Machamp. It uses a scary face, lowering Lorua's speed, but at least she's not damaged. I try my luck with Hypnosis and Lorua is still faster and manages to put Machamp to sleep. Thank God. With it asleep, Lorua finishes it off with an Ice Beam, but damn. Fulgora and Vesta. But I don't have time to mourn. Bruno sends out Hitmonlee, which identifies Lorua with Foresight. That could be bad. In panic mode, I try out another Hypnosis and manage to sleep it. Lorua gets off an Ice Beam for around half damage before Hitmonlee wakes up with a powerful Mega Kick. Lorua gets knocked into the yellow but manages to secure the win with another Ice Beam. Holy crap. 2 down. Agatha's up next and she starts the fight with a Gengar, so I send out Rana and go for a Muddy Water, but Gengar uses Double Team and avoids it. It keeps raising its evasion and then throws a Toxic out on Rana. She manages to connect with an Ice Punch but is hurt by poison and her leftovers can't out-heal the damage being taken. Gengar hits her with a Shadow Ball and keeps using Double Team so Rana can't lay a hit on it. I switch to Somnus hoping for a reprieve since he's immune to ghost attacks, but he isn't immune to Confuse Ray and gets confused as I go for Curse. Gengar throws out another Double Team and Somnus hurts himself in confusion. Awesome, cute, cute! Gengar goes for Toxic, to which Somnus is also immune, and if he could get an attack off that would be great, but he's stuck in a self-injury loop. Finally he breaks out of confusion for Earthquake until I remember Gengar has Pissing Levitate. Confused again and Somnus's Brick Break doesn't affect Gengar either. How did I forget that ghosts were also immune to fighting? So none of Somnus's attacks can hit this Gengar, but it can't hurt him either, except for making him hurt himself in confusion and succeeding. So I switch in Lapis and she immediately gets confused too. Come on, this is only the first opponent! Gengar slugs in a Shadow Punch, which doesn't do much, and Lapis hurts herself. Another Shadow Punch, and eventually Lapis is able to land a Fire Punch to almost red. Finally, Gengar gets off more Shadow Punches and Lapis's health isn't looking great, so I bring in Lorua, who gets knocked down to half with a Shadow Punch from Agatha's Gengar. Cool. At least Lorua's Shadow Ball is able to take it out, but there's still more Pokemon to worry about and my team is looking rocky at best. Not having my special attackers anymore is really hurting. Agatha sends out Goldbat and I bring back Somnus, who gets confused again. Agatha's Goldbat misses with an Air Cutter and Somnus is able to finally connect a powerful Body Slam. It's not enough for the KO and Agatha uses a full restore, but this fight is getting real damn tedious. Somnus smashes a Body Slam, powers through an Air Cutter and BAM! Another Body Slam to knock Goldbat out. Out comes Arbok, whose Intimidate cuts Somnus's attack. Not ideal, it screeches at Somnus, lowering defense harshly as well. Somnus manages to get an Earthquake off as well, but with the cut attack it isn't enough for the kill. I'm fully expecting Agatha to heal, so I go for Curse, but she uses Sludge Bomb twice instead, leaving Somnus in the yellow. But finally opening up for another Earthquake to squash this snake. Agatha brings out another Gengar, so I bring out Rana, knowing Somnus is useless against it. Luckily she avoids the Hypnosis and I go for a Muddy Water, but this Toxic is hurting and she gets hit with a Sludge Bomb. Muddy Water connects, doing decent damage, but Agatha's Gengar restores its health with a berry. With the poison and another Sludge Bomb, Rana's health is critical, but she's able to get off another Muddy Water and take Gengar down. Out comes Haunter, and even with leftovers, the poison reduces Rana's health to 5. She cannot take another hit or survive another turn with this damn Toxic. The rest of the team are all on yellow HP and Somnus is useless. So Lorua is my only option. You got this, boo. Agatha's Haunter uses Curse and cuts both of their HP, but Lorua is able to get off a Shadow Ball to knock the damn thing out and finally end this nightmare of a battle. We move on to the final member of the Elite Four, Lance. Usually he scares the heck out of me, especially in games where he has 2 Dragonite, but he doesn't have 2 Dragonite in this game, but I only have 4 Pokemon. He opens the battle with Gyarados and I send out Rana. Intimidate cuts Rana's attack, so I get her to bulk up and she eats an always 40 damage Dragon Rage. Rana goes for another bulk up, upping her attack and defense, and Gyarados goes for another Dragon Rage. Coming in cold with an Ice Punch, Rana's attack connects but it doesn't do as much damage as I would expect. Gyarados throws out a Twister, which Rana heals mostly with her leftovers, as she takes another Twister and switches to Brick Break to smash through Gyarados' health. Lance's Aerodactyl is next and hits Rana with a super effective wing attack. How did I forget about fighting type? Rana swells up another Muddy Water which drowns Aerodactyl out, and here it comes. A damn Dragonite. But Rana has Ice Punch. Dragonite uses Safeguard and I was pretty sure Lance would use a potion, but instead Dragonite's berry only heals it a small amount, leaving it open for another Ice Punch. Done. Replacing Dragonite is one of Lance's 2 Dragonair, but Rana's Ice Punch makes Frosty work of the situation and takes them both down in a 1-2. This is probably the smoothest Lance fight I've had in a long time. Maybe it's because the last time I fought him was in Heart Gold. But this isn't over. The Elite Four may be defeated, but there's another trainer left to beat. Blue. With the most diverse team of strong Pokemon, and all I have is 4 tanky mons with similar weaknesses. But this is it. The last battle to become champion and to complete this Nuzlocke. As usual, Blue sends out Pidgeot and I go for Lapis. She gets hit with a sand attack but is able to connect with a super effective Rock Slide and take it out. So far, so good. He sends out Rhydon next and I go for a super effective Earthquake on it ASAP. Okay, 2 down, 4 to go. We got this. We don't got this. Blue sends out Blastoise, which of course Lapis is weak against. Really missing Fulgora in this moment, but I switch to Larua. She avoids an instant Hydro Pump and is able to get off a Giga Drain. It takes Blastoise's health way down and I'm optimistic, just 1 more and it's toast. Blastoise sets up a Rain Dance and I get a sinking feeling in my gut. Especially when Blastoise eats its berry and heals up. That doesn't look like another Giga Drain will do it, but what can you do? Larua takes Blue's Blastoise down to red, but it responds with a Rain Danced Hydro Pump. Larua was fire hosed into next century. Damn it! It takes me a sec to think, and I reason Somnus is tanky, maybe he can handle what Blastoise can throw out, but the rain is still falling. I expect Blue to use a potion, so I go for Curse to boost Somnus' attacks. Another Hydro Pump and phew! Somnus' huge HP pool is really paying off, and it takes it like a champ, then goes for a Brick Break. Blastoise levels his Hydro Cannons on the huge Somnus and jets another attack, taking him down to about half before he uses his massive weight to cripple Blue's Blastoise with a boosted Body Slam for Larua! Alakazam is next, and I know it's a squishy bench. It fires off a Psychic, but Somnus is able to just survive and one-hit KO with a Body Slam. Leftovers bring Somnus into yellow health as Executor comes out, but it's not good. The only other Pokemon I have are weak to grass types. Rana and Lapis would be destroyed. So I try for a Body Slam, but Somnus is too slow and gets dusted with Sleep Powder. A Giga Drain takes Somnus into the red, with his leftovers barely keeping him together. I try to force him awake to Body Slam, but he just won't wake up. Remember how I said it was funny and appropriate or whatever that Snorlax wouldn't wake up? Well, now it ain't freaking funny, okay? Just wake up! I can't do it. Lose Somnus for sure, or bring in Rana and Lapis and hope for some luck to be on our side. I try once more for a Body Slam, but Somnus still doesn't wake up and is left with just 13 hit points after Giga Drain. I've got to do something. The run can't end now, right at the finish line. I've made up my mind. Rana, I choose you. She comes out and immediately Executor uses Giga Drain, but she survives. Her leftovers take her back to green health and Rana zips forward for an Ice Punch. It connects, but it isn't enough and leaves Executor in yellow health. 1 more might kill it, but can Rana survive another Giga Drain? No. She faced Lance's team alone and was taken down by a single Executor. Make it make sense, Rana! I feel at a loss. Blue's Executor has so much HP and another Giga Drain could one-shot Lapis. But I have to send her out. Lapis comes out hot and swinging with a Fire Punch to Executor's face, but it's not enough to kill it. I'm screwed. Instead of Giga Drain and just putting me out of my misery, it goes for Sleep Powder. Even worse. Why did I decide on no items again? But we've got to try. Somnus can't fight, so it's down to Lapis. Wake up! Fire Punch! Wake up! Executor goes for an Egg Bomb and misses, and Lapis wakes up with a Fire Punch, wiping this damn Executor off the face of the planet. But it wasn't over. Blue's Arcanine wasn't going to let Lapis rest, and its Intimidate cut her attack. That was the last thing I needed. I went for Earthquake and Lapis took a Flamethrower, no problem. Okay, this could work. Earthquake hits, and doesn't kill it. Blue's Arcanine has a sliver of HP left, and I'm devastated as he uses the full restore to heal it to full health. Keep going. Lapis, use Earthquake. Same again. Red health. Healed. Is this just gonna keep happening? Use Earthquake! And then it happened. Blue didn't heal Arcanine, and it used Flamethrower. It used Flamethrower! Lapis leaps through the flames, slamming her rocky body into the ground and quaking it, causing the ground to shatter and splinter and crumble beneath Arcanine's feet, and smashes it down. We did it! We did it! Blue is defeated! We survived the Nuzlocke! Ah! But not everyone survived. Rest in peace to Theo the Diglett, Hippocampus the Horsey, Mars the Primeape, Danae the Kingler, Fulgora the Raichu, Vesta the Charizard, Larua the Gengar, and Rana the Poliwrath. Thank you. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. What game should I Nuzlocke next? And don't forget the whole YouTubery, like, subscribe, etc. Thanks! Bye!